In the 21st century, we have enough information at our fingertips to access almost instantaneously, to be able to act on whatever we want to act on, that is, whatever vision or idea we have in our minds. And because of the information we have, that we're able to access instantaneously in most cases, or within a matter of seconds or minutes at most, we should be able to act on almost any idea we have, any vision, any process, any imagination, any goal, idea, or dream. We should be able to act on it instantly and then just make it a reality for ourselves. And if we look back in time, if we look back at the history and the timeline of, let's say, the most influential entrepreneurs in the world, in terms of entrepreneurial type of people, the likes of, in modern day, we got Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, in the last 100 or 200 years, we have the likes of Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockerfeller, the Rothschilds. We have these family dynasties that have had these entrepreneurial attitudes to basically change the world and in some cases be disruptive people and make entire industries or disrupt old industries and make brand new ones. But if you look at the timeline of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial people and entrepreneurial families, we can see that there hasn't been much change in the percentage of people that have become entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial people or entrepreneurial families. But when we look at any other variable, like the variable of access to information, or how much value of money has changed in the world and gone up and down, the variable is the one that is actually the most surprising. Because you'd think that if we have almost instant access to any information we now need to start or act on something that's in our heads, an idea, an imagination, or a dream, then surely we should be able to have tenfold or maybe 100-fold or 1,000-fold the momentum or capability to act than we did even 10 years ago, let alone 20, 50, or 100 years ago, even 200 years ago. But yet, why is it that there are only the same amount of influential people or entrepreneurial people starting out or making it in the world than there were 100 or 200 years ago? Because when you really think about it, if you look out in the world, how many people are making it? And I don't just mean making it in terms of they can make 5 or 6 figures a month, or they can get to 7 or 8 figures and they can make a $20 million a year business online or make a few hundred million. I'm on about these ultra successful people, the likes of Richard Bransons, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musks, because we've not had an exponential increase in the number of these insane minds, these entrepreneurial people that come and change the world in some way. And yet, the amount of knowledge that we now have access to in the 21st century because of the internet, because of AI, because of all these companies making apps and things. So why is it that there's not, like I said, tenfold or 100-fold or 1,000-fold the number of entrepreneurs in the world compared to what there were 50 or 100 or 200 years ago? We actually only really have a few more influencers than we originally had in the 18 or 1900s, when there was only really the Carnegies of the world in their steel industry or the Rockefellers changing the oil industry. We only really have a few compared to the 1 or 2. But yet we have an exponential increase in access to information and the ability to be able to start up anything. I mean, in any first world country, even developing and third world countries, for the most part, especially first world and developing, all you need to do is go onto your online website for your local, your country's way of registering a company, especially in like the UK and the US and some European countries and even developing countries. It costs, maybe an hour's worth of minimum wage to register a company with your local government or whichever agency or company in your country deals with company registrations in your country. And then you just, set up the bank account and that's it. You're a registered business. You go ahead with your idea, hire the people, hire the teams, and get going. But hundreds of years ago, even just 50 years ago, it was much more of a process to even just start trading because there was no access to the internet. You had to plan just to register your business. Now in 10 minutes, even in just 5 minutes, you can have a registered business with the local government, or in this case like the UK, it's HMRC, and it depends on which country you're in where you might register your business with. But within minutes, you can have a registered business, and then within about 24 hours, it's registered, you've got your certificates in the post, and it's all happening. So why is it that even though everything has become much swifter, easy access, and just simple and convenient, there's still not an exponential increase in entrepreneurs? It's not because of the information or the convenience, because otherwise we'd have at least 50 to 100 Richard Branson, Bill Gates level entrepreneurs, surely. Well, it's clearly not any of those variables, like convenience or access to information. It's clearly always been the same old variable that's never ever changed, and was the reason for the likes of the Andrew Carnegies of the world, the Rockefellers of the world, the Rothschilds of the world, the Bill Gateses, the Richard Bransons, the Elon Musks of the world. These multi-billionaires, and in some cases nearly trillionaires. Not just on about, the multi-millionaires, because obviously there's a certain level to it, but I'm on about the people that you know, that are the influencers, the at least multi-millionaires, the ones that break out from the rest. Because yes, there have been more breakouts in the past, 50 years or even 10, 20 years because of the internet. There's obviously an exponential increase in multi-millionaires because there is this willingness to act. But what hasn't changed is the level of willingness to act and that entrepreneurial attitude. Because yes, there has been an exponential increase in information and convenience to be able to act, but ultimately, you can't change how easy it is to actually make the choice and act. The circumstances for the individual, more or less, haven't changed. The decision to take action on something, because you have an idea, regardless of how hard it is to achieve that idea, but you have the idea and you want to achieve it, that has never changed in the level of difficulty. It's always been as difficult to act on something. Yes, there are variables. Yes, there's information. There's things that can affect the perception of the difficulty and how difficult it might seem to you, but the actual level of difficulty hasn't changed for at least 80 to 90% of people 80 to 90% of the time. Because otherwise, I truly believe that there would be at least 50 to 100 Elon Musk, Bill Gates level entrepreneurs that are multi-billionaires. Because if it wasn't the difficulty, then the access to information and the convenience would make it so that there are multi-billionaires. There are 50 to 100 of them that are worth at least like 50 to 100 billion. But there's only a few hundred or even a couple of thousand at most billionaires in the world. In the world, that is. And there's about a few 100,000 or maybe just less than 500,000 multi-millionaires that are worth 30 million or more, I believe. Obviously, we don't know how accurate that statistic is. So obviously, there is a certain extent to where the access to information and some of these entrepreneurial people, because of the access to information and the convenience, have made it more convenient for other people to be able to act and make the right choice if they wanted to have made that choice. But generally speaking, there's not been an exponential increase in the highest form of entrepreneur as far as the world goes, as far as that highest level. We've only got maybe 5 or 10 big names at most. I'm talking like worth more than 5 to 10 billion plus. The highest level, the upper echelon, the Uber level, or Uber themselves. So it's clearly not just the access to information and the convenience. It's the effort and difficulty required, which these variables like information and convenience should have an effect on it. but it's clearly your beliefs, your mindset, and how much you're willing to act on an idea or a vision you have. This is something that I think every single influencer and entrepreneur even says in motivational quotes, interviews, and whatever, is that it's always patience. And I think that's one of those long-term games, ironically, in that you need to, you don't actually realize how important patience is until it has been a while. It's one of those contradictory kind of ironic things about it, is that we almost, especially when we're younger, we feel this need to rush, find the answer, get it done, get the outcome. But it makes me even then think, okay, well, what if I achieved everything I want to achieve in my entire life, in just 5 or 10 years? Well, what's then next? I need to have this patience because, yes, I might be able to think of more and more and more ideas and more goals to achieve, but I don't want to rush my goals because they're my goals for a reason. I mean, there's even a Bill Gates quote here that is, people tend to overestimate what can be done in 1 year, but underestimate what can be achieved in 10 years. And that's the case for literally a lot of people, most of these young influencers, young entrepreneurs type of people. They want to try and make $1 million in a year, make a few million a year. And I've been there myself. I wanted to try and make a hyper successful agency and try and get to 6 or 7 figures in a year. And yes, that's a great ambition and great financial target for my business. It's not a goal, but it's just a target. But I know that that's just a result of a vision I want. My vision is to be able to help as many small business owners as possible scale their business as far as they want to go with marketing. And one of the most in-demand forms of marketing is with content creation and being creative. And that happens to be something I have a lot of experience in and I have a natural passion for. And it's why I want to help as many small business owners as possible, which is also why I think I've even made a video about this before, that you can't have a business idea that is just a metric or a statistic for the business. A business idea needs to be a long-term goal for the business. What does your business do? What do you want to solve? Airbnb's goal is to connect people that need something with people that have something. In this case, it's property, it's premises, it's like an additional room or additional home or additional bedroom. Uber, it's people that want to be a kind of like a freelance cab driver and someone that needs, a taxi. So they connect those two people and they're ultimately selling convenience. They're selling peace of mind. So with all of this, I think the best thing to think about and take into account is that when you look at the timeline of entrepreneurs, like I've said, actual Uber level entrepreneurs, look at how there has not been an exponential increase in the top level of entrepreneurs. Yes, there has been an exponential increase in, I would say, entrepreneurial people, but not top level. There's been obviously an influx in millionaires and multi-millionaires, the likes of people that have made money through the internet, through, selling things online, selling services online. The amount of young multi-millionaires now is insane, Because of the internet, there has been massive change. We can't take that for granted. But in terms of the top level, maybe it'll be exciting to see this change over time. Don't forget, we're barely 20 or 30 years into an actual proper internet. The dot-com bubble was only in the late 90s, early 2000s. So really, we're barely a quarter of a decade. We're literally on the verge of a quarter of a century, into the internet. And in terms of, multimedia, and in terms of kind of the modern day internet in the past sort of 5 to 15, almost the past 5 to 15 years, I'd say, ever since like the late 2000s to early 2010s, has been when the internet kind of found its proper footing in a way. And I'd say like the mid to late 2000s, yeah. So as we go into like 2025 to 2050 to 2075, it would be very interesting to see over time if we do have an exponential increase in that top level of entrepreneur. But I'm interested to see it. So share your thoughts on what you think about this. And yeah, I just hope that ultimately, if you are someone that has these visions, has these ideas, do think about the variables of success. And it's like, is it the access to information? How much do I need to know to get started? Because all these people that got started before me didn't have everything I have now, and yet I haven't made the decision to start. I haven't taken action on what I want to take action on. So what maybe limiting beliefs or negative beliefs or even false beliefs do you have? Things from your childhood that have set you back. Certainly for me, I was someone that lacked responsibility, lacked ownership of my own problems and my own solutions to even to things, my own accountability issues. Having to take that on myself and learn from my own false beliefs, negative beliefs, and limiting beliefs so that I can actually take responsibility for myself, for my own actions, for other people's actions, and ultimately build a team and start building a business that I'm proud of and start helping other people tell their stories as well as I want to tell my own stories as a filmmaker and as a creative person. So really just think about what you want to focus on and what you have access to now compared to what the people before you had access to. And think about why you haven't started if you already haven't. So just take that into account, and good luck with all your ventures or any ideas you have. And I think the best piece of advice there is, in terms of ideas, stick to one. Write down the ones that just I have like multiple a day. Stick to the one big idea you have that feels like a life-changing idea and focus on that until it allows you to reap the rewards of, succeeding in that vision, so that you can then focus on implementing these other ideas you get. And you'll always be getting ideas. And I think it's knowing when to let ideas go and knowing when good ideas that come and knowing which ones to implement and try and take action on. So yeah, hopefully it wasn't too long of a video. It ended up being like double the time I thought it was going to be, but nonetheless, hope this is interesting and hope you find this insightful. Share your thoughts below and leave a like if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.